All right, so when you go to get a job as a web developer and you go to different interviews, you may be given specific programming challenges to do on the computer or on a whiteboard. And it's good practice to do challenges like this, not only for job interviews, but it also just sharpens your skills in general. And you'll find that most challenges have some kind of iteration involved. And one of the most common ones that you'll run across is called FizzBuzz. And this has to do with loops and conditionals. So I think that this is a good point in the course to do the FizzBuzz challenge. And it's not very difficult. We've already gone over everything that you need to know. So as far as instructions, you need to print or log the numbers from 1 to 100. You guys know how to do that easily. And you can use different types of loops if you want. You can use for, while, whatever. And then for multiples of 3, you want to print fizz, the word fizz, in a string instead of the number for multiples of 3. For multiples of 5, you want to print the word buzz, okay, instead of the number. And then for numbers which are multiples of both 3 and 5, you want to print fizzbuzz, okay? So as far as hints go, if you've taken the course up to this point, then you know how to write a loop and output or log something for each iteration, right? So you can print the numbers. You also know how to check for a condition with if, else, else if. You also know how to get a remainder of a number using the modulus operator, which is the percent sign. And this is really all you need to know to complete this challenge. I've probably already told you too much. Now, if you don't get it, don't worry about it. Some people, including myself, are not that great with these types of challenges, especially if you can't do any research. So try not to go and Google FizzBuzz challenge. Try this on your own and see if you can figure it out. All right, so let's get to the solution. Now I'm going to show you how to do this with a for loop and a while loop. So first thing we want to do is print or log the numbers from 1 to 100, which is very simple. So we'll say for, and let's initialize I with 1 because we're doing 1 to 100. The condition is going to be if I is less than or equal to 100, and then we want to increment I by 1. All right, and now in here, for now, let's just console log I. So it should just print 1 to 100. So the next step is to print the word fizz for multiples of 3. Now the way that we can figure out if it's a multiple of 3 is if the remainder is 0. And we can find the remainder using the modulus operator. So here, let's say if, and we'll say if whatever the current number is on the current iteration, and then modulus 3, if that is equal to 0, then we know it's a multiple of 3. So in that case, we're going to console log fizz. And then let's just do else, and then we'll move that console log of the number in there. So if I save that, and we come up here, you'll see that 3 is fizz, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. Now, if it's a multiple of 5, we want to print the word buzz. So what we can do is let's go right here and say else if, or else space if, and then open up a curly brace and end our curly brace. And then in here, we want to say if I, and then again, we'll use the modulus operator, but 5 this time. If that's equal to 0, then we want to console log the word buzz. So let's save that. And now if we look, you'll see that 5 is buzz, right? 10 is buzz. But if we look at 15, it says fizz. And that's because 15 is a multiple of 3 and 5. And since this conditional was first, then it's going to log fizz. So for the condition of looking for them both, we can't do that under these ones because it's going to check those first. So we have to make sure that the first one we check is for both, right? So what we'll do is instead of putting this as an if, we're going to make that an else if, and then we're going to, let's see, we'll just push that over, and then we'll have our initial if statement here, like that. And then we can say if I modulus 3 equals 0, and if I modulus 5 is equal to 0, then we want to console log fizzbuzz. All right, so save that. And now if we look, we'll see 3 is fizz, 5 is buzz, 6 is fizz, 9 is fizz, 10 is buzz, 12 is fizz, 15 is fizzbuzz. The next one after that should be 30 is fizzbuzz. Next one after that should be 45 is fizzbuzz. All right, now a shorter way to do this, since 3 times 5 is 15, that means that anything that's divisible by 15 is also going to be divisible by both 3 and 5. So we can actually shorten this to just say, I'm sorry, that's not what we want. We want that to be 0, but we want this to be 15. All right, if I save that, we should get the same result. So fizzbuzz and then 15, fizzbuzz 30, fizzbuzz 45, fizzbuzz 60, and so on. All right, so that's the solution with a for loop. Now a while loop is going to pretty much be the same thing. We're going to have the same conditions. It's just formatted a little different. So let's say while loop. And remember, with a while loop, we need to set the variable outside of the loop. I'm going to use j for this since we already used I. And I'll say, even though I was scoped, but I'll say let j equals 1. And then we'll say while j is less than or equal to 100, then we want to do this block right here. So I'm going to grab that, paste that in. Now remember, with a while loop, it can be a little hard to remember that you have to increment. So make sure that you go outside of that if, and you just increment I by 1. So I plus plus. All right, so let's save that. Whoops, I'm sorry, that should be j. So here, yeah, let's change that to j, that, and this. All right, so now actually let me comment out the for loop so that doesn't run, and we should get the same result. So 3 fizz, 6, 5 buzz, 6 fizz, get to 15, we get fizz buzz, we get to 30, we get fizz buzz. Okay, so this is how we would do it with a while loop, but basically the same thing. It's just structured in a different way. All right, so if you got it, great. If you got it and it's a slightly different from mine, that's fine. If you didn't get it, that's fine as well. You know, you'll learn more as we move along.